All right, we're going to wrap up our media availabilities here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We have our race winner, Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. Denny, going to start you off with the same question we've asked everyone tonight. Win number 200 for Toyota. This is 56 of your 59 wins in a Toyota. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's super special because they've been such a big partner of Joe Gibbs Racing for such a long time, and certainly, I was worried when we switched over. It felt like about 16, 17 years ago, somewhere in that range from Chevy to Toyota. But obviously, it was a big leap of faith by everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing, and the drivers were kind of like an innocent bystander in it, right? We were going to live and die by those decisions that JGR made on that day, and it turned out to be the best partnership that they could imagine, right? Being the top team. Now that I've got 2311, I've formed a different relationship with them, and so I've got Toyota running through my blood, both top and bottom.
And another milestone for you, those 56 wins ties Kyle Busch's most all-time for Toyota.
Yeah, it does, and we're the next few wins, knock on wood, if I can get some, are going to be very, very special to me. So this is the next step to getting that done.
All right, we're going to open up to questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start up here with Lee and then go to Bob, and then we'll go back in the middle.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, sorry, I thought you raised your hand.
Okay.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Chris was talking about how you text him late at night and he didn't realize maybe your work ethic before starting to work with you. I'm curious, he felt like maybe you're working more now than maybe you had 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Is that true? And if so, why?
Just everything's so much closer. You used to be able to build speed in your cars that separated you from the competition. Now with everything so similar, how else am I supposed to set myself apart from everyone else? I've got some talent, but I feel as though, the working part of it is how I separate myself, and understanding it's washing machines work real hard too, but that doesn't mean they're, always productive. It's like you gotta know what to look for. You gotta identify it and then go to work to fix it. And so that's where I feel like I'm good at is identifying the problem first, and all my problems essentially. My job is to find all my flaws, and then it's my job to then go fix them on the racetrack.
And whenever it comes that you do retire, are you going to miss that work?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there'll be a huge void. I'll find something else to latch onto, but yeah, I mean, certainly I'm a results-based person, and when I can come out here and race against guys like half my age, and be able to beat them, like that's very gratifying for me. That's what I'm gonna miss, and that'll be the toughest part about hanging it up.
Go right in front of you.
Steve Overby, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Is there something about this track you like? A couple seconds in a first, does it suit you? Do you just feel good here?
I feel okay here. I still don't feel like I'm the best here. I certainly feel like there's a few guys that just are better at this racetrack than what I am. But, it's not always based on natural talent. There's all those other things I just talked about that makes the difference in whether you win or lose. And then, my team did what they, kind of didn't do last week. We just had a nice, solid day on pit road, no mistakes. Some other guys had some issues, and that allowed us to capitalize and win the race. So that's what NASCAR has become now. It's just such an execution race of like, who of the 5 fast contenders week in, week out, which one of them is going to stub their toe? Well, that's one gone. And then just eventually they all start eliminating themselves. And if you can do your job, like I did today, then the wins will almost fall in your lap.
What did Bill Murray say to you? Were you surprised he kind of poked his head in there? Or?
He had a long conversation. He wanted to run me through 20 questions as I'm trying to get my helmet on. But he was just, asking about the smell. He was asking if he, lit a match, would everything just blow up? He says things smell like sulfur out there. Just a lot of interesting things. And we had actually an interesting conversation before driver intros as well. Come to find out, I asked him his favorite movie he ever did was actually my favorite Bill Murray movie, which is What About Bob? It was just such a funny movie way back in the day, and I just, it's probably one of those that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition for him, but it's how I remember him. And he was like, yeah, we shot that in Virginia at Smith Mountain Lake. And I was like, yeah, I've been there quite a few times. That's kind of where I was raised. And then the conversation went off the rails from there.
We're going to stay in the middle. We have a couple questions. Just raise your hand so she can bring the wireless mic.
Michael Massey, Front Stretch. What About Bob is a good movie.
It is
way.
great.
Yeah,
It's
very
great.
underrated. So you've said before that, I can't remember the exact quote, but like you're like the Black Plague or something in the
Yeah.
playoffs, or you're
Yeah.
cursed or something. But today you
I didn't say I'm cursed in the playoffs. I mean, you can finish your question, but my results every year in the playoffs are better than it is in the regular season. My average finish, all that stuff. It's always better in the playoffs. It's just we haven't won that stupid freaking last race of the season that crowns the champion.
But you did kind of catch a lucky break today, because some of those guys were going to try to, I don't know if they would have made it or not, but they were going to
Yep.
try to stretch it out. So, I don't know, do you feel like you do have good fortune?
Every now and then,
Yeah.
yes. We only remember the crappy stuff that kind of happens to us and the negative and the times that you got wins taken away. But I certainly feel as though, my win percentage when having a good enough car to win is lower than most. But today it was a day where the guys that I thought were a little better than me had a few issues, and sometimes with themselves. This is what you got to do. You got to just stick around, hang around, and next thing you know, it's your time.
Stay in the middle, then we'll go to Dustin and come back over here to the left, Jeff.
Hey, Denny, Owen Johnson, cupscene.com. How does this win allow you to shift your focus? Are you thinking all about the next round in New Hampshire, or are you still thinking about Bristol next week and maximizing the playoff points there?
I mean, I would love to get 60 at Bristol. That would be fantastic. I'm not going to change my preparation for Bristol. All this win did was just add work to the week, because it allows us to now get ahead to the next round. But there's no way I'm willing to go to Bristol compromising my normal routine. And I feel as though it being locked in isn't it? I don't know how many you're locked in to the next round. Just two. Is there guys that are way up? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you cannot race Bristol thinking about points. If you do, you can finish pretty good, but you're not going to win the race, because you have to run that track 10/10 at all times. You're pushing it on the edge. We're going to be up against the wall, and it's just the people that chase points or have to chase points is not going to be able to push it to the edge like they need to win at that track. So I think there's a small group of us that have an advantage now going into next week, because that's what it takes to win there. And certainly Chase, myself, Larson, and others, are going to be able to go all out. And that's just a massive advantage. It's hard for me to put it in words.
Dustin, let me know, Jayski. Denny, when you're in the driver's seat and there's multiple strategies going on, which it seems like there is frequently nowadays, like how do you decipher that from the driver's seat?
Well, it was interesting because, maybe I second guessed the beginning of the race when we stayed out with like 15 to go in the first stage, when the entire field, except for I think 6 or 7 of us, pitted. At that moment, I knew, okay, we're going to be mired back in 30th, right? How in the hell are we going to pass those cars? Like, I knew passing was going to be extremely, extremely difficult. But we were able to pass quite a few more cautions come. It takes a few of those guys out, they pit, and next thing you know, we find ourselves moving back up into the top 10 again. So it makes it difficult. Passing here is difficult anyway, but when you have the varying strategy, it actually helps. I think with the way the cautions flew today, it actually made it the racing probably better than it would have been had we not had some of those short burst cautions, because it allowed some to have 10-lap fresher tires than others, and then it made it look like there was more passing because there was more passing. It just, you don't get that often in NASCAR racing where you have these short stints where tires will matter. You got a third of the field on one strategy, a third on another, and a third on another. So it's not my job to kind of second guess things, even though I have an opinion post-mortem about it, but it all worked itself out. I looked up, in the car, I've got these, kind of this cheat sheet I look at, and I'm like, well, we still got 200 laps to go. No telling what happens between now and when I'm 26th. And we just slowly but surely worked our way back up.
Go to Jeff, Dustin, and then to Dalton.
Logano was talking about Toyotas and said that Toyotas are ridiculously fast, got a lot of grip, a lot of horsepower, and said that we've got to be absolutely perfect in every category to contend, and we need them to make mistakes. So do you agree that, it's a small sample size, but 2 races into the playoffs, do you think the championship is going to go through a Toyota?
I hope so. I remember showing up to the championship race in 2021, knowing we had no shot. We weren't good on the short tracks. Maybe it was 20 or 2021. Corey Gibbs telling my mom, I appreciate you coming, but we're not going to win this race. Crushing her soul because she's very optimistic. Hey, we got a chance to win. He's like, no, we don't. We need everything to just fall just right. It's, we don't have the speed. Hendrick guys got our number. So we've been there, and I understand, how that goes. But, yeah, I do feel like our cars are good right now. This is a track that you can draw some, the tire's a lot different, but you can draw some, connections to like a Phoenix because it's, it's the distance and the banking. But you just never know. I don't know. It's the Penske cars have come out of nowhere the last few races, last few years. When you didn't think they had the speed, they just showed up one week and poof, they had it. So you just never know in the sport. It ebbs and it flows, but I can sympathize because I've been there.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Your comment to the fans about the bandwagon, get on or get off. When you made the comment, kind of similar a few years ago at Bristol, you said your father was not pleased with that. So is this father approved, or is this just
Probably
beg
not.
for forgiveness?
No, yeah, you beg for forgiveness on this one, just because you just never know. You never know when it's your last. This could be my last win. This could be the last time I'm talking to you with my driver's suit on after a race. We just never know, and so I try my best to, enjoy the moment and do the best I can to rile up the fans any chance I get.
Obviously, winning is so important in many levels, but it gives you 5 extra playoff points. Right now, that would give you 34, which would put you ahead of Larson and Byron if they don't score any next week, and everything stays the same going into the second round. With Talladega in the third round and the idea that maybe 2 guys get in on points, what does the race for the playoff points mean? I know it's important every year.
The following round.
The following
The
round.
following,
yes.
following
Third
round.
round.
Yes.
With that, with that race out there in the third round to be gathering all these playoff points, like you getting 5.
We're going to need them. We're going to need them. There's just, I don't think I've ever had a stress-free third round. It's all been close on points. There's been opportunities where, like 2019 Phoenix, where I had to win there to make it to Homestead to have a chance. But I've never cruised through that third round, and it doesn't matter which racetracks it's been. It always gets tight there. And now that you got a super speedway in it, who knows? I remember last year, I was minus 50, something like that. I'm cruising around on the other side of the track. I've lost the draft, and that's when the entire field crashed. And it just went from, oh my God, I'm out to, oh, now I'm sitting pretty, leaving. So it changes that quick, and you just never know. But with Talladega being in the second to last round, I just don't know how many points you would have to feel comfortable going in that round. I mean, it's certainly more than 34.
We're going to go to Lee up front, and then we'll go to Dalton and off to the right.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. You said you never know when it's going to be your last, and you kind of sound like Mark Martin, because when he was about your age, we started hearing that from him. But looking
Dude, won for another 8 years.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going. Everybody, even the kids at JGR, say you outwork them. And you're going to be 45 in 2 months, and you're killing it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Why would you want to even contemplate retirement when you're still at the top of your game?
There's just got to be a means to an end. I'm just not going to leave this sport on my deathbed. Just leaking oil, just running in the back of the pack. Like, I have way too much pride for that. I'm way too cocky for that. There's just no way. I want to be able to win my last race, and to do that, I'm going to have to retire when I'm racing like this.
So walk off at Phoenix if you win the title?
Sure, absolutely. Sounds like a good way to end.
Go ahead, Dalton.
Hey, Denny. Don Hawkins, front stretch. Kind of like a similar question. Like lately suggested, it's not very often we see somebody at 44 winning 5 races in a year. What is it about you that does allow you to maintain that level of competitiveness and maintain being at the top of this sport?
I think that there's just some people that are, different. I talked about it at Dover in the post presser there that, I'm sure that there's someone more competitive than me. I just have never met them. There's just, I interact with enough drivers to know that, it's the hardest part of ownership is that I can't make them do what I want them to do. But, they have to want it on their own. They have to do it their way. And not everyone learns the same way. Some people are visual learners. Some people, listen and learn. Everyone's different. And so that's the toughest part is understanding that I've got the reins to the horse, but the horse is driving me as an owner instead of the other way around. So I just think that there's few people in every sport that are just built a little different, and they just won't settle for anything but winning.
That was like the second part of my question was going to be, you have so much on your plate with everything that's going on off track, managing a race team, having a family, and still running for a championship. What allows you to maintain that level of focus that you do?
Just knowing, that I've put a timeline on the end, that to me has been the number one factor. And, I talked to Harvick the other day, and I was just like, I knew exactly how many races were left. And it's like, the countdown has begun. And I just don't want to end knowing, man, those last 70 races, I didn't really give it my all. I could have had 70 wins if I really buckled down and I really gave it all, and I'm going to regret one day not having the wins that the work ethic kept me from doing. So that would weigh on me well beyond my driving career, and there's no way I could live with the weight on my shoulders knowing that I shipped it in for the last 70 or so races.
I'm going to go to the far right to Tim.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Congrats on the win, Denny. Oh, when Coach was in here, I had mentioned to him that now this is the 10th win of the season for you guys as an organization. You guys hadn't done that since 2019 when Kyle won the championship. What is it that's different about this core of drivers as compared to past years from your perspective? And also, do you feel if you guys don't come home with a championship, rather if it's you, Chase, or Christopher, is the season a failure when you win that much?
Certainly makes it more fun. It's, I think there's a lot of pride in each one of the drivers wanting to be down there at Joe Gibbs Racing. 145 tomorrow hanging their banner of their number, right? And when you look up there and your teammates with these guys and they're putting their number in order of wins, it's like you want your number to be more up there more than everybody else's. And so there's just a lot of gamesmanship and pride that goes into that. And certainly, bringing Chase over this year, the dynamic is a little different than what it has been. But I don't know how many Joe Gibbs Racing teammates I've been through or worked with. It's got to be a lot, it feels like now. But everyone's a little bit different. And everyone will push you in a different way. And, there's certain parts of each driver's game that I envy that forces me to identify that I'm not as good as them in blank area. And then it truly helps me be better.
And I talked to Bubba after the race. He had told me about the tire here because now you had ran it previous in Iowa that he felt it needed significant change and that it was a car problem. I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you felt the tire performed today, and do you feel that it still needs significant change?
Yeah, it could, we could use more fall off. I mean, certainly, that is, I'm looking at the end of the race and, he's telling me, all right, we don't need any more than that. And I'm just running 3350, 3350, 30. It's just every lap was like the same lap time. And I was like, there's just no fall off. And it certainly makes it's good when you're out front. It is, it'll pull your hair out when you're behind someone that you're quite a bit faster than. But this is a track where you got to be real sensitive of that because you got long straightaways and you got load into the corners here that, in high braking, you gotta tiptoe into changing this tire. I would love to see them soften the tire, certainly the left side tire, at least. But you got to realize too, Goodyear's got some goals of making a common tire, and so they're trying to make this their Loudon, Iowa, Gateway. They're just trying to make it more common, so they don't have to create so many different tires. In a perfect world, you'd have a specialized tire for every track, but I'm not sure anyone's got the money for that.
Come back up here to Bob. She's coming over.
When you were talking about like having the countdown 70 to go, I assume that's just kind of assuming that the next 2-year deal will be your last, right?
That's correct.
Do you have a countdown of 3 to go, of 3 more chances to win a title, or do you not, or is that not part of your countdown?
Not really. It's always been about number of races. I haven't thought about, the only one I thought about was this year in the Daytona 500, thinking that I'm probably only going to do this twice more. You Brickyards, right? I haven't won the freaking Brickyard, and it's like I'm going to have 2 more shots at it, and that's it to round this thing out. So there's certain races that I do have countdowns for. Championships isn't one of them. Obviously it's well documented. I want to get the wins, and I feel like that will carry its weight long after. When you compare me to someone that's maybe got 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 championships and half the wins, I don't think that person's better than I am.
All right, Denny. Well, congratulations on the win today, and congratulations on the win tally for Toyota.
All right, thank you. I don't mind though.